If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of The Mind Pump, look, we talk all about fitness, health, building muscle, burning body fat, but we also talk about current events and have a lot of fun. Here's what we talked about in the first 40-minute intro of this episode. I talk about the two cannabinoids that you may not have heard of, cannabichromine and cannabigerol, and of course other cannabinoids. Now they all work better together. So if you're just taking CBD, you might want to look into getting the entourage effect.
Make it a party.
Which is actually found in the hemp oil extract of the company Ned. Now we work with Ned. They, in our opinion, are the best quality hemp oil extract. They have independent lab results showing all the different cannabinoids. And we have a discount for you. If you go to helloned.com, that's HELLONED.com/mindpump, you'll get 15% off your first purchase. The next thing we talked about was the Denver event. We gave a little recap on what seems now has become our favorite city. Great audience over there, also always very humbling. We talked about how Vuori was rated the #1 athleisure brand by Business Insider, also experiencing triple-digit growth. Now find out why Vuori is #1 and why they're crushing so hard. They make amazing athleisure wear. It looks good.
You just got to put their clothes on.
And it feels good. And if you go to their website and use our discount, you'll get a fat discount. So here's what you do. Go to VuoriClothing.com. That's VUORI clothing.com/mindpump. There's going to be a code listed on that page. It'll give you 25% off any of their products. Then I talked about a podcast I heard about SIBO, that's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. If you have IBS or gut issues, studies are showing that you're likely to have SIBO, so you might want to listen to that part of this episode. Then we talked about South Park, how much we love South Park. Justin brought up Pampers Smart Diapers. I guess they're making electronic diapers now?
Yeah, dude.
Kind of weird. There's some people marketing and making money on the Area 51 issue that's going on online. Please don't storm Area 51.
Don't do it.
So stupid.
You're going to get shot.
Yep. We talked about how Endgame now passed Avatar as the #1 movie of all time, but also Disney has rights to Avatar 2. Are they going to rule the world soon?
Yep. I think so.
I'm buying shares right as we speak.
I'm less scared than Amazon.
Then we get into the fitness portion of this episode. The first fitness question, does foam rolling actually help, or is it more of a short-term solution? In other words, is foam rolling part of the long-term solution to solve your pain issues? The next question, how should you train and eat for combat sports like boxing and MMA? So we talk about the right type of weight training if those are your priorities, boxing and mixed martial arts. The next question, should a person who wants to become a good leader first develop themselves as a team player? In other words, is it essential to know how to be a team player in order to be a good leader? And the final question, if we all trained each other, in other words, if Justin and I trained Adam, or if Adam and Justin trained me, or if Adam and I trained Justin, what would we train them on? What are the programs we'd have them follow? How would we do the nutrition? And what would they look like at the end of the training? Also, this month, Maps Anywhere, the program that we designed that is without equipment. In other words, you can follow this program, get great results, and you can do it at home, in the office, while you travel, because it requires no equipment. All you need are resistance bands and your body weight. It's extremely effective. That program is 50% off. It's half off this month only. So go to mapswhite.com. That's MAPSWHITE.com and use the code ANYWHERE50. That's ANYWHERE50, no space, for the discount. Make sure you go do it now because this promotion will not be back until late next year.
T-shirt time!
And it's T-shirt time.
Ah, shit, Doug, you know it's my favorite time of the week. Yeah.
We have 3 winners for iTunes and 2 winners for Facebook. The winners for iTunes, DLI96, Alpha Heather, and J Crosby01. For Facebook, Tiffany Farino, Michael Hepburn. All of you are winners in the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, include your Instagram handle, and we'll get that shirt right out to you.
Feels good to be a winner.
I've been reading a lot about the value of the other cannabinoids in the cannabis plant and the hemp plants.
CBG.
CBG,
been talking
CBC.
about it.
So for a long time now, most of the study that's been done since cannabis kind of is elevated itself from the, it's a drug, category to now we understand that there's medicinal applications, there's therapeutic applications, there's other things that cannabinoids do besides make you high, which is like the THC one, right?
Right.
And a lot of the science initially went to CBD. That became the most studied besides THC cannabinoid. And we know this now. CBD they're putting it in absolutely everything.
Right.
Well, one thing that people need to understand is the studies are so far, okay, again, there's a lot of new stuff coming out, but so far the studies are showing quite clearly that for cannabinoids to exert their most beneficial effects, they do much better when they're in the presence of other cannabinoids. So isolating CBD, taking it by itself, it's not going to give you nearly the benefits as when it's combined with other cannabinoids. And the scientists call this the entourage effect. So for example, THC, which everybody's familiar with, right? That's the one that makes you high. If you have pure THC, which a lot of people don't know this. Did you guys know that THC in synthetic form has been a medication or an approved medicine for a long time?
Yeah, they come in these little round brown and orange gel caps.
Yes, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Not very popular, though, because the side effect of paranoia and anxiety is high.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would take what is the pharmaceutical name of THC, Doug? Maybe you can find, I can't believe I forgot the name of it. But anyway, a lot of people don't like it because
Let's guess.
a high percent.
Tetrahydrocortisol. Awesomeness. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. That was terrible.
Yeah, synthoweed. Yeah. But anyway, it Marinol. Marinol is the name of it. No need to keep looking, Doug. But anyway, people would take it in a large percentage or a significant percentage would come back and be like, this shit makes me paranoid. Or, I get anxious. I can't take it. When you take THC with CBD and other cannabinoids, the instance of negative effects greatly, like hugely diminishes. Here's another one. The memory loss effects that come from THC, the short-term memory loss. The whole stereotype of the stoner who's like, I forgot or whatever.
That greatly diminishes after, a 1-to-1 ratio? You're the one that kind of put me on that.
Yes, when you have other cannabinoids present, it reduces the short-term memory loss that can happen from a lot of THC. So anyway, a lot of the study was done on CBD. Pharmaceutical companies were super interested. Now, of course, CBD is getting hoarded out. All these supplement companies who have zero understanding or don't even attempt to understand how to really maximize it are putting CBD by itself and everything. There are no other cannabinoids. There are no terpenes in there. Terpenes is a whole nother subject. Those are the compounds in cannabis and hemp that give it its smell. That also can contribute to its beneficial effects. So they'll just isolate CBD, put it in something, and that's if you're lucky. Usually there is no real CBD. It's all hype right now. Like the CBD burger from Carl's Jr. Like, I'm pretty sure you're not getting shit in there, but processed food or whatever. So I've been reading and trying to look up on studies on other cannabinoids because there's a lot on CBD, but there was very little on the other cannabinoids. But two stood out. One is CBG, cannabigerol, which cannabigerol acid, CBGA, is the kind of like the parent cannabinoid. So the cannabis plant and the hemp plant will take CBG and turn it into CBD and other cannabinoids. So it's like the parent cannabinoid. This is kind of interesting because it may have more of a balancing effect than CBD. And the studies on CBG right now are showing all the benefits of CBD, the anti-inflammatory effects, anxiolytic, which is like anti-anxiety effects. I said anti-inflammatory, the anti or immunomodulating effects, so people with autoimmune issues. CBG is showing that it's just as good as CBD, maybe even better, definitely when they're both present. And then CBC, cannabichromine, is a fascinating one. Cannabichromine, I actually brought it up because this one I was just recently reading about. Cannabichromine has been shown to encourage the human brain to grow by increasing the viability of developing brain cells in a process known as neurogenesis. So CBC actually stimulates fucking neurogenesis.
No way.
I thought fasting was the only thing that we found to do that.
The only one.
So that's why this is so damn
Interesting.
fascinating.
Combining the two is interesting.
And here's the thing too: consistent high use of THC has been shown to shrink certain parts of the brain, especially in adolescence. CBC may be a cannabinoid that will prevent some of those negatives that'll happen.
So it's sort of like the built-in balance of if you have like THC in the plant, like that, it already has that sort of like a balanced chemical property.
That's the beauty of all this, right?
Now, you were talking to me about this, off air a couple days ago, or last week sometime, and I know that one of the things you were really interested to discuss, and I asked you about was, did you know if Ned had CBG in there, and did you get a chance, since we just went to their event that they held for us, did you get a chance to talk to them?
Yes. So
this?
I took them aside, and before I said this on the podcast, I wanted to just ensure that that I would be speaking with integrity. So I took the boys aside. By the way, those guys are great. The owners of Ned, super down to earth, super cool guys. That's one of the reasons why we started working with them back when they're small, and now they're obviously massive and growing. And I took them aside and I said, hey, I've been doing a lot of reading on CBG. And right away, they interrupt me. They're like, oh, cannabigerol. They're like, oh, no, that one's huge. CBC is another big one. And then they were showing me that the lab reports on their hemp oil extract, because here's the thing, Ned is not a CBD-only oil. It definitely has CBD present. But the reason why Ned, why people are saying it's so much more effective is because it's full spectrum. So they take high quality hemp that's been bred to be high in some of these beneficial cannabinoids, and they extract it, concentrate it, but they don't remove cannabinoids or terpenes or anything. In fact, you can smell and taste it a little bit when you take it. It's got all of the cannabinoids, and they said that some of their batches tested as high as 6% CBG, which is freaking awesome. And CBG and CBC in particular are fascinating because of their effects on bowel inflammation. So people with like Crohn's disease and irritable bowel syndrome, or just a lot of these disorders of the gut, which makes me wonder if that's why the anxiolytic effects from Ned. This is all anecdote right now. The rest of what I'm about to say is anecdote, so no studies yet. But the anecdotes that I'm getting from people are, I've tried pure CBD. It didn't really do a whole lot for my anxiety. Hemp, the Ned oil did a lot for my anxiety, and I'm wondering if it's mediated through the gut, because I know gut inflammation is strongly correlated now to anxiety and mental stuff. Because now we're seeing that it affects the brain. I mean, it's the second brain, right? It's the gut. But anyway,
yeah, it's fascinating.
Fascinating shit, and because I think what we're going to find in the future with cannabinoids is you got to give, if you want to really get the maximal effects, you want to use all of them, not just one or two that we think are the best. And it was funny, the way they explained CBD to me was CBD, CBG, and some of these others. For example, with CBD, it doesn't attach to the two cannabinoid receptors that we're familiar with. And so for a long time, like they were thinking, well, how does it work then? What is it doing? And the way they explained it to me was brilliant. He said that it's like shaking the receptors and shaking them clean so that more of them are open for your own natural cannabinoid production or for other cannabinoids. That's why when you take them with other cannabinoids, they just work in harmony together. Which I'm going to get a little woo-woo now, but it seems to be how nature works. You know what I mean? There's always kind of this kind of balancing effect from...
Yeah, you see that a lot in plants, especially the ones that have like a poison or something. There's always like this counter, like the antidote is right there, or the antidote, I should say. Yeah.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. But anyway, shout out to them for helping us put together a phenomenal event. I have to say, Denver's crowd, probably one of my favorites.
Yes. Yeah, they were awesome. It was great energy there. I mean, that was the earliest event we've done so far, so it was interesting because we got there at like 11 or something.
Yeah.
Like everybody was already there.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, whoa, this is going to be great.
That was my favorite for sure. I mean, the people were just rad. The event was awesome. Ned put on a great place for us. Like, that was all awesome. But the people, dude, I really, really connected with all the people. And not that we don't connect with everybody from all the places that we go, but they did. They seemed more like all of us. And I know you were talking to some people before we went there. Like, people were trying to speculate, like, why we had such a huge sellout crowd there faster than anywhere else. Because there was a ton of people that didn't make it. I got a ton of DMs of people like, damn it, I missed it before it sold out. I ran into a listener at the airport on the way out that didn't get a chance to go.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't even get into it. So
I think it's that they tell from what I heard, from what they tell me, is that our sense of humor, the way we view things, aligns with the crowd in Denver. Because you'll notice with Denver, for example, their politics, they can go both sides. They can be liberal on some things, conservative on other things, and we tend to be like that, right? We can be kind of open-minded with and then our sense of humor. They said it's a Midwestern. They said a sense of humor connects with that kind of Midwest type of crowd. But I don't know, man. They were awesome crowd.
100% will be a regular stop now.
For sure. And Denver now has become one of my favorite cities. It's a big city, great place to go hang out. We went to some bars afterwards. I couldn't believe how clean it was for a big city.
Yeah.
I didn't see any riffraff. I didn't see any,
That's why I'm excited
too cold.
It's too cold.
You saw that storm. We used to, how crazy was that? 85 and thunderstorms. So it's like
it was dumping for like an hour.
Board
hard.
shorts and a parka is
just
the apparel.
Came in and out just like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was dumping hard. Could you imagine being a bum and getting hit by that, bro?
Oh man,
you're fucked, dude. So and everybody that like all the Uber drivers and everybody that lived there was like, it was no big deal. I mean, I was out there. It was so crazy. I was videotaping it. I'm like, oh, flash flood warning,
lightning all over the place.
Yeah, lightning. Tree looks like a blower, and then like all of a sudden, whoop, like clears up.
Oh, it's gone now.
Oh, but yeah, no, everybody was super friendly too. And one of the best steaks I ever had was in Denver.
Yeah.
We had it at the hotel. The hotel we were at, their restaurant, which was a good restaurant.
Yeah, shout out to Hotel Indigo. That's the second time we've stayed at that chain. We stayed there in LA also. I like that hotel.
Yeah, their steak was incredible, but the crowd was phenomenal. Everybody was super appreciative, and I get emotional thinking about it because these people, we put out our information, but we don't choose our audience. They choose us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like such an honor to sit there and meet people that chose to follow Mind Pump and do our programs and whatever,
and take the information and run with it and apply it in totally different avenues. Like, it's just so great to see other professionals there that really appreciate our perspective, and then can also reinterpret that same, thought process going into like physical therapy or, all these other like health professions.
I was also really impressed with the trainers that did come to this event. Every time we do an event, not just the Mind Pump Lives, but when we do our tours around locally and go to gyms and pop up and talk to trainers, always I ask, who owns Prime and Prime Pro? And it always blows my mind how many people that are trainers that listen to the show that don't own those two programs. And this was the first place that we went to that
everybody did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by that. And they all say the same thing, like, oh my God, it's the most valuable program that I own of yours. It's what I use on all of my clients. And I got more from that than any of the certifications that I have. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm always trying to communicate on the podcast. If you're a trainer and you haven't invested in Prime and Prime Pro, you're missing out because of all the things that we have, and as valuable as all the programs are. If you're a trainer, the ones that are probably most applicable to your everyday client and helping your business out, 100% would be that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Dude, you know what else is funny? Is that because we were at altitude, right? We live at San Jose is what, sea level, probably? We're in Denver, so we're at, I don't know how many thousands of feet elevation, much higher than San Jose. One drink is worth like 3, dude. I drank, we did one shot, and I knew better because remember I had gone there with Jessica like 3 or 4 weeks before, so I knew better, so I waited 10 minutes, and that shot, bro, hit me. I was like, I'm drunk.
I had that shot, and then they had nitro cold brew there too, and so I had like this huge, like one of those mason jar, filled with nitro, and I was starting to drink it, and then I just got kind of the jitters, and I'm like, oh no, that was like too much.
I think that's why Taylor and Rachel were filling off a little bit.
Yeah, Taylor was a little nauseous.
Yeah,
and I think it's same thing with me. I had a little bit of caffeine, and it felt like I took twice as much.
Yeah. That's what I didn't anticipate because I'm the caffeine guy. Yeah, like, I'm all in, and that got me, dude, to that level where I was like, I haven't felt this in a while.
Yeah, I looked it up, and the alcohol interferes with the way hemoglobin utilizes oxygen, and because you already have less oxygen because you're at altitude, it just hits your brain much harder. Fucking felt like it because then we went out afterwards.
Yeah,
and Justin, who's we all know Justin has several livers. He was born with a condition that gives him
kind of like an alien,
3 or 4 livers. So he's got that tolerance or whatever. So we're sitting there, and Justin had the lady was pouring us a shot because this is when we went out later. We asked for a shot of whiskey or whatever. It was a Crown.
Yep.
She's like, "Oh, I only have enough for one shot." And as she poured it out, it was already there. And she's like, "Shit, I ran out." She's like, "Here's a free one." So Justin had like an extra shot.
Yeah.
He walked around with it. He didn't even have it.
I was like, dude, I don't know about this idea.
Yeah, bro.
I was like, I might just sip this one. I drank the first one fast, and then I was like, whoa. I think, I think I need to pace myself.
Yeah.
The 2 beers I had, I was definitely buzzing just from that. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much for me, period. But 2 beers was enough to toss me up.
Well, they opened up. Taylor was able to open up 9 more spots for Seattle, which we're going to be at.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This week. Yeah, we're going to be at Friday this week in Seattle. So if you couldn't get a ticket because it was sold out, they opened up 9 more spots. I hope they're still available by the time of the airing of this episode.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's mindpumplive.com. Go to Seattle. Yeah. So we have some more spots open and available. So we'll see.
Yeah, check it out, dude. Did you ask everybody like where they found us? It was always interesting to me to see like what other like podcasts or shows or anything else like that might have driven them our way. Like one of them was Sex with Emily. And I was like,
you had a Sex with Emily one.
Yeah, I had 2 people like tell me that, and I was so surprised by that. I was like, cool. They were just really stoked that we don't just stay in fitness. Like we were like venturing out and doing other subjects. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, it's part of the human experience. Like this is all incorporated in health.
Not only that, but I know that when we first we all agreed that we would go insane if that's all we could talk about.
Right. Yeah.
True.
I love fitness. Don't get me wrong, and I love talking, and I know that's our wheelhouse, but. I think
we want to talk about sex.
Yeah, I mean it's fun.
That's what we're experts in. That's our true expertise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Practice all the time.
Such experts.
One listener. So every once in a while, when we meet these people, I recognize their faces.
And by their Instagram handles. That's how I talk to them.
Yeah. and
hey, at Rick One.
Yeah, does it happen to you guys too?
Yeah, I recognize faces, and then I connect it to the Instagram handles. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, so I'll remember a face, and usually it's because they asked me a weird question at one point, and it just stuck with me, right? So one of our listeners comes, she's walking up, to say hi. This is after we were done, and I'm like, I know you, and she looks at me all like, huh? And I'm like, did you DM me, ask me a question or something, whatever? And then she got super embarrassed, and so, and then more people came up or whatever. Then later on, she comes up, she goes, yeah, I asked you a question after the Sex with Emily episode. I'm like, what question did you ask me? She's like, I asked you which sex toy was the best one. And I'm like, that's why I remember. Because I never nobody ever asked me that question. And that was the one that I remember.
It has to have multiple features.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, so Business Insider. You guys ever read that?
All the time.
Great site, right? Great business site.
Yeah.
You gonna bring up the Vuori article?
Yeah, dude.
I saw that.
They ranked the top athleisure wear.
Yeah.
Vuori got overall number 1, better than all the others.
Badass.
Beat out Adidas, beat out Nike, beat out all the other potential brands.
Yeah, take that, big dogs.
Dude, they're crushing.
Yeah, they are. It was cool to see too at the events. Every time we do these, I see more and more people wearing the gear. What you find with and I get it because if it's a new brand, you've never heard it. You tend to try one piece. I'll try the shirt or a pair of pants and see, because nobody goes out and spends $1,000 online first time until you get the fit down. So, but once someone buys it and they feel it and they wear it and they're like, oh shit, I love it. And so there was several people at the event that were
you can live in it.
Head to toe Vuori.
Well, these core shorts, I seriously especially that the weather's warmed up. Dude, you can wear them. For me, it's the easiest because it's not there's other ones that are better for swimming in, I think, but these are the ones I wear all the time. It's easy and it's comfortable.
I rock these. Doug, you said these are called the Sunday pants? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, these are my. I think I have 5 pairs of these now.
I didn't get a pair of those.
You don't have these with the little zipper on the side?
Maybe I do. Did they come in black?
I like the ones you're wearing. I like too.
These are my favorite so far.
But I like these way better.
Well, triple-digit growth is what it said in Business Insider.
Shit. Wow.
That they're going through insane amount of growth.
So this is like they're internationally like growing too, not just in the States.
I don't know about that, but I do know that they're going through triple-digit growth. That they won Business Insider. Like we are literally working with a company, which this is phenomenal. This is great because remember we first start working with them, they were relatively unknown, right? They're blowing up to the point where I could see in 5 years this company is going to be like they're already big time. They're going to be big time.
Yeah.
If they're getting highlighted like this and just crushing the way they are, we're looking at like another like mega
powerhouse.
Yes.
Yeah, like a Nike, one of those like big dogs.
And I'm glad they like us because that's cool. We can kind of hang out with them.
No, it's a great brand.
With the big guy. Anyway,
love their
so
stuff.
on the way, on the flight back, I listened to Chris Kresser's podcast. Very technical. He's always got very technical podcasts, but I like some of the stuff. And he did an article, he did an interview with, I think it was Dr. Pimentel on SIBO. Do you guys know what SIBO is?
Yeah, small intestinal overgrowth.
Bacterial overgrowth.
Bacterial
Yeah.
overgrowth.
So SIBO is becoming a big deal in the gut health arena. Through testing now, what they're finding. So in the past, a lot of people have had the diagnosis of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And IBS is just it's just a fancy way of saying we don't know what the fuck you have. Like it's true.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor.
Like you have to shit all the time.
I know because this was me. You go to the doctor. They do the fucking endoscopy, colonoscopy. They test you for any major whatever. Okay, we can't find anything. You have IBS, and so there you go. It's like basically a diagnosis of elimination. So we've eliminated all the stuff we know. Since we don't know what the hell's wrong with you, you have IBS. Well, with studies now, what they're finding is that a majority of people with IBS, so if you're listening right now and you have IBS, whether it's IBS-C, which is irritable bowel syndrome characterized by constipation, or IBS-D, diarrhea, or alternating, because some people have both, they alternate, the odds are that you have SIBO. They're finding now that people with IBS, it's because they have bacterial overgrowth in their small intestines, and this is what's causing the problem. And to treat this, and here's the other thing, it's curable, totally. So you can cure it. There are antibiotics that you can take, but there's also antimicrobial herbs that in studies are showing to be just as effective as antibiotics, which you can get, I think, over the counter. So those two things.
Didn't you do something like that?
I did.
The stack that you heard, I think it was Dr. Bush, or who did you originally?
I found this myself through the study. One's called FC-Cidal and the other one's called Dysbiocide, which is it's common. No affiliation. We're not working with the company. So do your own research. Make sure you do your own research. But those are the two. But there's also other things too. Like you could take like peppermint oil, berberine, oregano oil. These are all natural antimicrobials. But check this out. They're finding now, and this is breakthrough kind of stuff, that people are developing SIBO because at some point in their life, they had an infection, like a foodborne illness infection. That foodborne illness infection caused something to happen in their body that now possibly could have damaged the nerves in the gut that reduce motility. So now small bacteria builds up in the small intestines. And they think it may actually be a form of an autoimmune issue. Because what happens with SIBO is you cure it, and then the reoccurrence rate's like 60%.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're doing with these people is to help reduce reoccurrence is they're putting them on what's called a prokinetic medication, which is something that increases motility. But there's also natural motility increasing compounds like ginger, for example, is something you can take. But anyway, fascinating stuff because I know how fucking frustrating it can be to have these repetitive gut issues.
So what do you say? It comes from things like food poisoning?
You could originally get it from that. Okay. Now, here's the other thing they said on the podcast, which I thought was fascinating. A lot of people will get food poisoning and it's not major. You'll just have diarrhea for a day and then it goes away.
Right. And
that could have been what caused this kind of issue to where you're
something that small and trivial, huh?
It could cause this where you lose your motility and this bacteria can build up in the small intestine, cause you all kinds of grief and problems because people with gut issues, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. It'll last you forever. Like, what the fuck's going on? You can cure this if you get diagnosed with SIBO, and then if it comes back, there's ways that they can help prevent it from coming back. So this is big news, dude. Because it's common. Yeah, IBS is like one of the most diagnosed things that are out there. Like, so many people have it and don't know what to do with it.
Speaking of what you were listening to on the flight back, I have to apologize, Doug. That was me with the South Park.
Did you get to watch those episodes?
I did.
Oh man, I'm so jealous.
I forget sometimes that I'm automatically logged into the business account stuff.
Yeah.
And so I saw that message come across because I flew out before you guys, and you and I, Justin, were in the hotel room, and we were just talking about how great South Park is, and
they're so good.
Yeah, we forgot all about them there.
And they still make new seasons, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't watched them in a really long time. And Justin and I were talking about, you know what, with all the bullshit we've had going on in the last year or two, South Park, I bet, has got some great stuff.
Yeah.
And so we both got on and we started looking them up. And so I bought like 4 or 5 of them so I could watch them on the flight back, and I was dying. And then I saw the message from Doug saying, like, does anybody know anything going on with the Mind Pump account when we have purchases for South Park?
What are the names of the two creators?
Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the time when they went to was it the music?
Yes, I was telling Adam about that. Yeah, where they showed up in a limo and they were wearing the dresses of like what the hottest dresses, like J-Lo's dress.
The green one was all open in the middle.
Yes, and I think it was like Bjork's like swan dress or something like that.
He told me about it. I didn't know that.
Now, did you guys know that when they did that, because I heard an interview later
They were
on
acid.
They were high as fuck on acid the whole time.
Well, because they said it in the interview.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, when they're walking in.
That's where I heard it.
Dude, yeah. They were like, oh, yeah, it's great. We're totally on acid right now. They're like, I was like, I love these guys.
Just calling
these
themselves
guys
out.
are so insanely
Justin
cool
and I were up all
transparent.
night talking about it, and we were talking about how great they would be for an interview.
Like
how,
zero fucks.
How awesome would they be on the show,
They
right?
they have such an important role in media. It's like call fucking everybody out and make fun of
You know
everybody.
what? It also sent us down the rabbit hole of like this type of humor, right? And you remember Crank Yankers?
I loved it.
Yes.
Loved it.
Dude, I forgot about do you remember the episode that they did where they called into like a Home Depot type of store, and he talks about asking if they have any cock?
Oh, no, I never saw
Oh, dude, off air, when we get off air right now, I'm going to play it for you because I must have played it 5 times. I was dying.
It's this guy with like
So
a
good.
English accent and everything. So I don't know what it is about the English accent, but like people tend to just listen a little bit longer. I think.
It sounds proper. That's why.
Yeah. He sounded like he was like legitimately asking good questions, but it was like totally.
Do you guys
like,
sell stiff cock?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
just
like,
wait.
Does it get hard?
Yeah.
After a certain amount of time. Like, how long is that time?
What was that? What
So
was
you black cock?
One of the ones in the back in the day was what was that one where you could listen to? It was on a cassette tape the first time it came out. Then it was on CD. It was
Jerky Boys.
Jerky Boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That brings back memories.
Yeah. Jerky Boys, Crank Yankers, all those. Like that's how Justin and I were going down like the old rabbit hole, listening to these old
the
episodes.
good old days.
Did you guys ever do crank calls when you were kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a popular thing when I was like
Before there was caller ID. You can't do that shit anymore.
right. No, even when there was *67 used to block your number.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because when I was in college at this private school, it was really boring after a while. Like I didn't have a car, and you're just there with other students. You were just trying to pass the time. So there's one book. It's like the student book. Basically, before Facebook, there's like the Facebook. Like you're able to like call whoever randomly, and so we totally just would call and like leave like really inappropriate messages to everybody.
Do you know who I used to crank call all the time? This was my favorite thing to do. So whatever gym I was managing, I would crank call my front desk all the time. All the time. And so when I worked in Salinas,
Because you could watch them, right? Is the
and
answer
I had
to it.
fun with them, So you got to have fun when you're working in a gym. Otherwise, it sucks. So I worked in the first club I ever managed when I was a kid. When I was 19, they gave me Salinas. So it's like way the fuck out there. Large Hispanic population. So I go out there. I loved it down there. I had a great time on my staff. But anyway, my front desk, I had a front desk girl working at the front. I'm in my office. And so I call up and I change my voice and everything. And I'm like, can you please page my husband over the intercom? She's like, sure. What's his name? And I said, last name is Deho. First name is Ben. So she's on the intercom. This is like a lot of Spanish speaking members, whatever. So she gets on the intercom. Attention, members and guests. Will Ben Deho please come up to the front desk? Bendejo to the front desk. And after she said it like 3 times, she goes, Bende, and then she hangs up. And she comes to the back. She's like, fuck Sal. And I was just pissing my pants, bro.
Dude, I thought of you recently, Adam. I was reading this article about Pampers and like how they're getting into this new quote unquote market for baby smart tech.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have a line of diapers that are coming out that apparently will, of course, hook up to an app of some sort where it'll alert you and let you know whether they've peed, whether they pooed, like
it's brilliant.
Between the two, right? Like
wait a minute, how
their sleep, how mobile they are throughout the day. Like
how does this work?
Well, they already have the ones I have,
just like a wearable,
have the line, stuff. Right? So it when he pees, like it goes blue.
Okay.
So that's cool. So you don't have to stick your finger in.
So
the old school is pull the diaper out, stick your finger in there, and you find out.
Old school move is smelling.
Yeah.
So I go in. Nope, that's dirty.
Yeah. So okay. So let me get this straight. You're gonna fucking hook up a Wi-Fi Bluetooth signal to your kid's fucking genitals.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the alarmist.
That doesn't sound. Yeah, there you go. Doesn't sound like a good idea.
Oh, it's got to be okay, bro. I can't imagine the signal that it's any more powerful than your damn cell phone you're holding when you're holding.
Yeah, but
your
you're not putting it in his fucking diaper.
Yeah, but it's not. It's also not probably a 5G cell phone either. It's probably like a little thing, dude.
The trippy part though, so it doesn't stop there. Like they're already trying to like really dive in. All these tech companies are getting thirsty about this, right? So there's other things in terms of like being able to mimic the way that you're like shh, like the noise like the parent makes, and then they're able to do that if there's any unrest in the middle of the night. Like that'll come on and just be like shh.
Oh my god, dude.
And like soothe them. And so I forget what they were saying, but like later on they're like, oh man, like in terms of like being like soothed and triggered and all this, like what does that adult look like, by the time that, they grew up with all these soothing mechanisms already built in for you, I was like, oh man, that's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Robot nannies, dude. They're fucking around the corner.
It'll be in your home, like that's the thing. It's like all this feedback and, all this stuff about human behavior is like really getting engineered.
Dude, they're going to design the most patient, perfect like AI nanny.
Well, we never lose my temper. We haven't used it yet. It's one of the 1,000 boxes I have that I haven't opened and tried, but we do have the ankle thing that he wears or whatever. You seen those?
No.
Where that like
he's on house arrest?
Yeah.
Damn, he's young.
Yeah.
That kid's already doing some crazy.
It tracks their movement through the night. It also tells you their temperature, so you can manage their temperature just cool. Right, so they're not too hot, too cold. So I forget what else it does.
You're not doing the cold therapy with him yet?
No. He had his first bath last night.
Oh, shit. How was it?
Yeah, first bath.
Oh, that's funny.
Now, who gave it? Was it just you two?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just me and Katrina.
In the sink? Just...
No, we have one of those, like, it fits in the bathtub.
Yeah, a little baby tub or whatever.
Yeah, and then inside of that has, like, a little mesh net.
Did he like the water?
Yeah, he loved it.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, I mean, Katrina was on it. She was really good. She actually steamed the bathroom up first, so the bathroom itself was fucking hot as shit for me. But it was warm, so the whole bathroom was already warm, and then the water was lukewarm, whatever temperature or so it's supposed to be for him. And yeah, dude, he loved it. He loved his first bath. It was great.
Oh, it's so great, man.
Yeah. So
then you wrap him up in the towel afterwards. I love that. You wrap up your little cute.
And he's spending they rub lotion all over him, so he smells so good. You
do the lavender lotion.
Yeah.
Just chill him out.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah, no, he's so far everything that we've introduced or had to do that. I mean,
he's hella chill.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about. I think on the show I talked about. I mean, he didn't even cry during his circumcision. He didn't cry during his bath. He isn't. The only times he cries is if you got a shitty diaper
or if
he's
hears
hungry.
my voice.
Yeah. If he hears your voice now.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have me over so I can strengthen him a little bit. Give him a little bit of challenge.
The greatest surprise of everything has been, and it's been really cool, is the boys. Man, my dogs have completely changed. Their demeanor has changed totally.
Like how?
They can be a little
more gentle.
Yeah. They can be when people come over, when they're with just me and Katrina, they're bulldogs. They fucking sleep, they're chill, they're hilarious. When people come over there, they get a little anxious and excited, and they're all over the place. And so I was kind of a little worried about, like when kids are over too, they see kids because they're small, and so they get excited and they want to play with them.
You guys have had so many people over.
Yeah, and so I was really kind of worried about them being anxious. I even talked to, I think before when we had Stephanie on the show about hiring somebody to go take them for an hour or two, because I was really concerned that they were going to get jealous, that they were going to be all over him and jumping on him, and I was really nervous about that. And they've just changed. their demeanor's changed. It's like they know that there's this baby that's in the house. And
now, do you think they're feeding off of you and Katrina's demeanor, or that the baby's in there? Maybe all of it.
All of it. You know,
That's so crazy.
It's cool too because he'll like start crying, and then the boys kind of perk up, and they kind of walk over, and then they kind of sit down, and they just kind of wait, and they just pay attention to what she's doing when she's with them.
So great.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And then if he's making noises when he's sleeping, so that they'll get up on the couch and they'll kind of peek on him to see if he's okay and stuff.
No way.
Yeah, no, it's dope, dude. And I can put him down right next to him, and they don't pod him or anything like that. They love to smell him and get close to him, but they won't put their paw up on him, which is weird because they'll do that to humans, anybody else. Like if you are playing with my dogs, one of the things that
they know to be gentle.
They know he's fragile. Yeah,
it's interesting how they're like that. They just
That's why dogs are the most special animals in the world.
No.
They really are, man. You see them do stuff like that, and it's like they were. That's the animal that's closest to us, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's been cool. I was worried about it, and it's been awesome to watch the way they act around them for sure.
Dude, you guys know when I brought up that silly thing that they were like promoting on Facebook about storming Area 51.
Oh yeah.
Is it real or not real?
So it's not real. I mean, it was just totally satirical. Like somebody put that up there.
But they did
as a joke.
They did talk to. I think that the U.S. the military did talk to the people at Area 51.
They
to get
issued a warning.
Yeah,
a legit warning out there for
like,
people.
Probably not a good idea.
Don't do this. Yeah, this is a really bad idea. And because it was getting traction, just like anything else, it starts out kind of as a joke. Somebody thinks it's serious and is like gung-ho about it, then gets more people involved, and then it turns into a clusterfuck. Anyway, just like with the paranoia going into the Mayan calendar and like the end of days and all this stuff, people are going to cash in on this. And so there's been a few companies that have already put out there. I think Budweiser was one of them. They put out a whole labeled version of Bud Light where it was all alien like inspired and everything.
Smart.
Legos made specific alien type Legos for this. Like DiGiorno's got like pizza boxes with like alien Area 51.
So smart.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, yeah, dude. Like the trend, the viral thing is really something that companies are trying to get like better at and get quick to whatever everybody's paying attention to. Let's like create a product in that direction, like right away. It's
totally.
pretty crazy.
That's
to watch.
great. I was just I took the kids to Baskin Robbins yesterday, and they had Scoops Ahoy all over. Remember Scoops Ahoy from Stranger Things?
Oh yeah.
So Baskin Robbins is working with Stranger Things and is creating themes, like making Baskin Robbins look like the ice cream place that the kids worked at Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's
So
smart.
I know, right?
Oh, that's brilliant.
So cool.
Speaking of kids stuff, dude, you see Disney actually just had Endgame surpass Avatar in the all-time grossing movie ever.
Number one ever.
So they've done it officially.
So they officially. Not only that, but I didn't know this. I didn't know that when Disney acquired Fox, they also took the rights to Avatar. And so
Disney beat
That's
themselves.
insane,
bro. Yeah, so Disney is like owns like all the biggest grossing movies.
I want to know the payout, dude. I want to know what they paid James Cameron for that franchise.
So they have the rights to that, and from 2021 to 2026, they already have plans to release 4 sequels to that Avatar.
See, I had no idea about that because I knew that they'd already filmed and shot like 4. They're pretty much done in terms of like just filming with the actors. Like they did them all in succession already.
Dude.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, so it's like the content's already there. Now they're just going through them all. But yeah, they're gonna launch them all like back to back to back and just kill it in the box office.
Disney's, in my opinion, a smart buy in the market. I mean,
we've been saying that for over a year now.
Well, back in March, which luckily I bought shares back in March, they were at around $110 a share.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then this was, they real quick bounced up. Now they're playing around in the $140 range per share.
I got them at 100 flat.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be. I think they're going to keep going up even higher. I mean,
domination.
And they haven't even really done the streaming service yet. Wait till. And here's what's so brilliant about that. And I know I keep talking about how they're going to take over. You may be right that multiple streaming services will be around.
Yeah, but they have their fingers in all of them.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Exactly. And not only that, but what they're doing and what I think is so smart is it's Disney. So they're going to own the kids, which if you own the kids, you own the market for the next 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
So maybe Netflix is doing well with Amongst Us because they're playing to us like the Stranger Things, which is appeals to our generation very well. But Disney's like, I don't give a fuck about your generation. You fools going to be dead in 40 years. I'm worried about the generation coming up right now. That's 5 and 10. And that's who they're going to end up catering to. And then once they have them, they'll have them for the next 50 years or whatever.
I'm gonna get more Disney shares. I think.
Well, I'm on board with that.
Smart buy.
This Quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. First question is from Andrew Beth. Does foam rolling actually help, or is it more of a short-term solution? How about vibrating foam rollers?
I haven't told the story of the vibrating foam roller for a little while on the podcast. Remember that one?
It's been a couple times.
Yeah, years ago. Has it really?
Yeah,
I'm going to tell it again. Just
all right,
we got
do it.
a bunch of new listeners.
Let's do it.
No, a long time ago, I bought one of the first vibrating foam rollers from performbetter.com.
Yeah.
And I get it, and it was weak. It had this little knob that you turned on or whatever. So I'm like, whatever. I put it in the corner. Never use it again. I had a client come to the gym with their kid, which I would have oftentimes. I had a small studio, and the kid was playing with it.
Yeah.
And pulls the center part out. That's the vibrating part, and it's a fucking old school dildo, old school vibrator. That's what they did. Perform Better bought a bunch of these vibrators,
Like
and
hopefully not previously used.
yes, put it in there, and they said, "Oh, it's a vibrating foam roller." Anyway, just want to tell a story again. That's not a true story. Actually happened. I wrote to them, got a refund.
There's a lot of value in foam rolling. I think there's a lot of things that we didn't understand or were mistaken about originally. Like we used to tell people that you were breaking up scar tissue,
Adhesions.
Adhesions and knots that were on the muscle fibers. Like, so the understanding of the foam roll, I know that I was wrong about for many years. But I do see a lot of value in it. Now, I like how they worded it. Is it a short-term solution? Because it isn't addressing the root cause, though, still. So there needs to be more work than just the foam roll. So using a foam roll can be beneficial to give you temporary relief so that you can get into positions or do movements that will help promote better patterns. But as far as using it only and like what I think a lot of trainers do, which is and I was guilty of this, having my client foam roll for 10 to 15 minutes before we do our workout, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Like you foam roll for 10 to 15, roll the IT band, roll your calves out, roll the piriformis out, and then you see me, and then I would train you. And yes, it gave them temporary relief. Yes, it allowed us to exercise better, but I wasn't addressing what was continually causing all those knots are in them. So that's where you have to go deeper.
Yeah, I like it as a targeted self-massage to unlock better movement. Like it like in terms of like if I have a limitation, and I know with me and my hips, I'm constantly battling just like trying to make sure I get in mobility practice, but sometimes I let it go a little too far and I just get really restrictive. And so it does help me to gain back certain ranges of motion and also alleviate some pain. So there's definite value in it. It is a great way to alleviate some pain, but I do see it more as a temporary solution. And mobility practice being my go-to from then on out. I used to foam roll all the time before a workout. That was like definitely something I prescribed my clients.
When we started this podcast, I know Sal used to talk about it. I did too. The first 10 to 15 minutes of every workout I spent foam rolling. And it wasn't until I really started to work on until I saw Brink and then really started to address my mobility and was introduced to FRC and then I completely just stopped using it. And all I did was mobility priming before I got into a workout and never looked back ever again.
Yeah, well, you have to understand kind of what muscle is and what it does to understand the benefit of things like foam rolling. So if I peeled one of the muscles off your body and put it on the table, it would be extremely pliable. It would have lots of flexibility. It would essentially, you wouldn't know the difference between a tight muscle and a loose muscle if I took them out of your body and put them on the table. The difference is when it's in you, or on you, I should say, is your central nervous system. Your CNS is what controls the muscle and makes it feel tight or loose. It's what gives muscles their ability to stretch and elongate, or to stay tight and to stabilize, your joints or whatever. So it's all about the central nervous system. And so what happens when you apply pressure on a muscle is it sends a signal to the CNS that says, relax. Now, at first, it tightens up. So if you've ever had a deep tissue massage and you have, like, let's say you have tight traps, right? Real tight neck muscles or whatever. And the massage therapist pushes on them hard. At first, it's like, and it hurts. But then if they keep the pressure on there long enough, and if you kind of allow yourself to relax and you're not holding your breath and tensing everything up, all of a sudden you feel what massage therapists will call a release.
Yep.
And what ends up happening, it's just your CNS going, okay, we can chill out a little bit. Now, why are some muscles like this on you? Well, it's a protective mechanism. If you have poor movement patterns, if you've had a previous injury, or emotion will do this as well. You can get angry or stressed out, or you can feel a particular way, and it'll cause your body to tighten up and hold your shoulders and your body in a particular position. So all those things can affect how you hold your muscles. But if you have these poor movement patterns, or you have these emotional patterns that happen, and now you've associated a movement pattern with it, you can get the CNS to kind of chill out for a bit. So if, let's say your mid-back lacks strength to support your shoulder girdle, then there's other muscles that are going to take over. And then those muscles are going to stay tight to protect your shoulders from injury. And so you may have really tight neck and not know why the hell your neck is so tight. If your IT band, which runs along the side of the leg, that's the most common place people will foam roll. If that's always tight, it's probably because your hips or your ankles don't have the right kind of mobility, and so the IT band is just tight to protect your knee. Now,
it's working overtime.
That's right. And what'll happen when you foam roll is it tells those muscles, or it tells the central nervous system, it's okay right now through a mechanism we don't fully understand, but it tells that area to chill out and relax. Now, why is that part of a long-term solution? Because, like Adam and Justin said, now when I get that to relax, I can move in a way that will strengthen better movement patterns. Because what ends up happening when these things become tight consistently, you get inflammation and pain.
You overcompensate.
And now when I move, because I'm tight and in pain, I move that way.
Right.
And how can I strengthen a movement pattern if I can't get into that movement pattern? So foam rolling is 100% part of a long-term solution. By itself, it is not a long-term solution.
Just a Band-Aid.
It is a short-term solution all on its own.
Also, how the vibrating plate and the vibrating foam roll works, to your point.
Same thing.
Just relax. It's just sitting. I remember the first time that we did the plate, and it was like, oh shit, okay, I get it now. I see what's happening, because I was like, what's the big deal about these vibrating plates that everybody swears by how amazing they are? And it's like, all it did, and I remember because this was during the time when I was really working on the depth in my squat, and I just didn't have the hip mobility, and I was a tight calf, didn't have the ankle mobility, didn't have any of it. And I got on there and I got into a really deep squat, and I was like, oh shit, this is a trip. Mm-hmm. And what it did is just that vibration.
It's like scrambling that hardwired like signal that your body was getting, that no, we can't move this way. We got to stop. All the governings need to take over.
It's like it confuses the CNS, because every vibration, every oscillation tells the CNS to tighten, relax so fast that it almost, it's like you're on your computer and you hit a button that scrambles it and it doesn't know what to do, so it shuts down. So it's like your CNS is like, what do we do? And it just it short circuits.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have this new range of motion, and you can get into positions you couldn't get into before. So vibration does this very, very well. You take a foam roll. Now, here's the thing though. It's got to be a good, powerful vibrating foam roller. It can't be like the crappy one that I talked about earlier.
Can't be a dildo.
No,
don't roll with a dildo.
No, it's not strong enough.
Plus, it might surprise you.
Although I'm sure there are some that are strong enough.
It might make its way somewhere.
Yeah, but anyway, maybe the Hitachi wand that you plug into the wall. That's an old school reference there to a good one. But anyway,
someone knows their dildos.
Yeah, he's been in the game a while.
Let me tell you, bro. I do my research on things I'm into. But anyway,
literally,
a foam roller that vibrates very strongly will probably work better, cause a little bit less pain, allow you to foam roll a little bit longer, but it's definitely a part of a long-term solution. Here's how I like to use foam rolling, okay? If somebody's really, really bad at getting to certain positions, I will use it before a workout, depending on the individual. A place where I think it should be in most people's routines is at the end of a workout. I love it at the end of a workout to prevent the occasional tightening up of areas that then prevent the solidifying of the signal that you sent with your workout. So what could happen is you could do all this mobility movements, strengthen new ranges of motion, then afterwards find yourself start to tighten up and then almost erase the signal that you just sent because now you're so fucking tight that you're moving like a robot. So at the end of your workout, you throw in foam rolling and that helps prevent that from happening. But it has to be targeted and it has to be individualized. So like in MAPS Prime, we actually recommend foam rolling at the end. We call it the post-priming because we always talk about pre-priming, like prime before you work out. There's actually post-priming as well. It's not quite as important, but still important. At the end, if you foam roll in a way that is beneficial to whatever your movement pattern issues are, you'll see your progress. And the first time I experienced this really wasn't with foam rolling. It was with massage therapy. When I had my studio, I had a massage therapist that worked for me who was the best massage therapist I'd ever worked with. She knew the body like a really experienced personal trainer, and that was because she worked with really good chiropractors for years and years and years. And what we would do, depending on the client, if I had a client who, let's say it was so hard, it would be hard for me to just get them to get into a position, like a common one. Let's say somebody had just really bad forward shoulder. I'd say her name was Devin. It's okay, Devin. John's going to come in, super bad forward shoulder. She knew she would work on his pecs, his shoulders, and his upper traps because those were the muscles that were just keeping him from getting in the proper position with my rows. Then I would do the rows with them, and they would get in a better position. Then I would have clients that would come see her, that would see her afterwards, and I'd say, okay, this person gets really inflamed after we work out, things get tight. I'd like them to see you post-workout. Boy, those people who saw both of us, their progress, it used to blow me away. What would take me normally 3 months of work with a client was like it would cut down to a third, like a month, and I would see the same kind of progress. So that's when I really started valuing these kinds of tools. And foam rolling, not as good as a really good massage therapist, obviously, but way less expensive. And if you know how to apply it, it could definitely be a part of a long-term solution.
Next question is from Ricky Train. How would you approach your training or nutrition for combat sports such as boxing or MMA?
Man, MMA is getting so popular now. A lot of people are training, kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Way more than ever before that I remember. Here's the thing. This is true for all sports now. I think one of the mistakes people make when they'll play a sport, but they're also a gym fanatic, is that they have a tough time prioritizing one or the other.
I had this was a popular question at the live event.
Yeah.
I must have had 3 different people that asked, and it wasn't MMA, actually. I think one was snowboarding, another one was swimming, and
I had a rugby guy. So
this is a very common question, and a lot of times the things they want to accomplish are another one was a triathlete, right? So a guy wanted to be a triathlete, but then he also wanted to build muscle and get in shape, and it's like,
I want to bodybuild and do triathlon. How do I combine?
Yeah, and they're asking like how I would train, and I said, well, it's not that you can't try and train for both. Doesn't mean you can't lift weights to build muscle, and doesn't mean you can't also train for a triathlon. But something's got to give, especially when you're going after conflicting modalities. So you just got
conflicting adaptation signals, right?
Right. So you have to be okay with giving a little on one of them. So what I said to all of them, which is, which one of the two is more important? And whichever one of the two is more important, that's what you prioritize. And then the other one is maybe 1 or 2 days a week.
That's it.
So if it's like you really care about building muscle, well, then build a training program that's probably 3-4 days of lifting and then 1 day of running or swimming or something a week. And then if it's the other way around, where swimming or the triathlon is more important, that should be 3 or 4 days a week. And then you're only training 1 day or 2 days of weight training.
Do you know how this took me a long time to learn? When I first started doing jiu-jitsu, obviously I've always been into resistance training, and I was real hardcore into it. And I made a big mistake, which was I kept up my normal resistance training and then went all in with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. You're asking for an injury doing stuff like that.
I learned real quick that I sucked at everything. I didn't progress anywhere because it was just too much. And at some point, maybe a year or two into jiu-jitsu, I was like, okay, I want to just, you know what it was? I did my first tournament a year into it, and I lost. And that loss made me go, okay, am I going to compete again? If so, I'm going to take this super serious. So I took my resistance training down from 5 days a week to once or twice a week, just like Adam's saying. And I was doing jiu-jitsu 3 to 4 days a week. And then my progress skyrocketed. So if you're a boxer and you train in MMA or jiu-jitsu and you love it and you want to like get better at it and use resistance training or training to augment it, honestly, once a week probably is enough. Actually, once a week might be ideal for you in this case, especially if you're doing 3 or more days a week of this other type of training.
Right.
You know?
I'd say 1 to 2. That's what I would say. Just depending, obviously there's going to be some people that can handle more resistance training. And just because you can do 3 or 4 can handle it doesn't mean it's optimal, like to your point, Sal.
Yeah, like, I can tolerate all this damage, therefore it's ideal. No, you don't want, it's not just about tolerating it, it's about progressing. So the best results I ever got with the people that I trained that were hardcore into MMA and jiu-jitsu was a 1 day a week, not on the day that they're doing anything else. So it's a day dedicated to itself. And it was a full body resistance training routine. And depending on the person, it would depend on, there are a few factors that I would consider. But oftentimes what it looked like was a traditional full body routine focused on compound lifts and focusing on what resistance training does best, which is make you stronger. So I wasn't trying to mimic boxing or jiu-jitsu with weights. That's a big mistake. I see a lot of guys doing, like, they're like, I do jiu-jitsu 4 days a week, and then, 2 days a week I lift weights. And, well, how do you lift weights? I do all kinds of crazy circuits, and I don't have any rest because that's best for, and I'm like, no.
You've seen a lot of improvement, though, in a lot of these camps and where they sort of separate this out in terms of like which coaches they bring in timing wise, which ones work with like certain grappling skills, which one then comes in and, depending on their opponent, like it's really lasering in a lot of like specialty type skills and training and like how you time that all out specifically. So it's a pretty complicated answer to give you in terms of like, what's going to be best in terms of weight training and like what stage are you in? Are you like in an off season sort of where it's like, I'm just working on strength right now? Or are you like in a camp where you're on a clock now where you have a certain amount of days before your first bout and what that all looks like? It all has to be drawn up like very methodically. And I think that, I think this is like one of those questions that's like, for me, it's nails on a chalkboard because it's so general. Like this is a very specialized question. You need to get like really good coaches to draw this up for you and be able to manage your stress. So it's appropriate because it's one of the most stressful things you could possibly get yourself into.
Well, what I found with the people that were asking me the questions at the live event, and it's probably so here, is they tend to be people that are more weekend warrior-ish, like the triathlete guy.
They're not hardcore.
So you guys, you make sense with the 1 to 2 times a week. I think,
right. He's not trying to be, break any records or, progress year over year and become this super badass. Or the same thing with the guy that was swimming and the girl that was snowboarding. She just, I want to get better, and so it's like, so for those people, my answer always is just, whichever one is more the priority. And I'm going through an example of that right now with swimming. Like it was just a couple months ago, I was like hardcore talking about getting into swimming, and I was doing a lot of it. So much to the point that my aesthetics were starting to suffer. I wasn't I wasn't building muscle in the gym. Most of my time was in a pool, and so
you had to make a choice.
Yeah, and I did, I chose because I do still like to look muscular and be strong and lift weights. I scaled way back on the swimming and have been lifting way more weights because I didn't like the direction it was going. It was too much swimming, not enough weight training. And as much as I want to get into swimming, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm not trying to be a fucking pro swimmer or anything like that at all. I wanted to learn the craft. I wanted to get a little bit better at it, but not at the risk of losing my physique. And so I made adjustments. So this is the same thing for anybody. Like if you are into a sport, sports aren't all sports, unless you're into bodybuilding as a sport, is not geared around aesthetics and looking and building muscle and losing body fat. It's
no, the way you look is a side effect of it.
Yeah, right. It's and sports are performance based, and so they're going to be different goals. So just prioritize the one that's most important to you. The other one is probably 1 to 2 days a week.
Now, if I'll be general, I'm going to give you guys a general answer here. For the average person listening, you're probably not a hardcore competitive MMA athlete looking to become pro. The average person just likes to do it, likes to do jiu-jitsu, likes to box. If you like those a lot, here's a good general routine that you can do once a week. Do a full body routine, 5x5, 5 sets, 5 reps. Pick 4 to maybe max 5 compound lifts. I like 4. Go to the gym, maybe do a squat, a bench press, a row, and something else. 5 sets, 5 reps. That's it, once a week. And that should improve your strength in your other sports where you can see that kind of carryover.
I just laugh because those are like the two like worst sports to pick as a leisurely activity.
What's that?
It's like, I just kind of like to box and, do MMA occasionally. What the fuck are you doing?
Jiu-jitsu is actually great, though.
Jiu-jitsu is.
We didn't answer the nutrition part. I did give a nutrition advice to the people because they asked the same thing. When you're playing, probably the biggest mistake I see with someone who's trying to improve their aesthetics and then also play a sport is dieting while they're doing this.
Oh man, your performance goes down the tube.
Right, and so that was my advice to all these people that were asking this question: is okay, if your priority is this sports and you want to get good at it. And overall, you want to have a better physique. Don't make the mistake of also dieting really hard, because then not only is your performance going to go down, but then you're also sending the signal for your body to be become more efficient with calories and slow your metabolism down.
Yeah.
So stay fed. So if you're doing MMA, you're doing boxing, you're doing snowboarding, you're doing swimming, you're doing triathlons, and you also want to be fit and stuff, don't make the mistake of also dieting during this whole process where you're trying to accomplish these two things. Stay fed. Because if you also diet really hard and you're pushing the body's limits, now you're gonna hinder your performance in whatever sport or thing you're doing, and then in addition to that, you're also sending a signal to the body to adapt and become more efficient with calories and potentially slow down your metabolism.
The only people that should diet are people trying to make weight for a particular sport. Other than that, eat entirely for performance. Focus 0 of your diet on aesthetics. And the reason why I'm saying that is this. If you, just like Adam said, if you eat for aesthetics while you're trying to perform, you lose performance and you lose aesthetics. Mm-hmm. If you eat for performance, you'll gain a lot of performance and you'll also keep a lot of aesthetics. So if you're playing a lot of a sport and you're doing the weight training to supplement it or to augment it, so that's your favorite thing is the sport and the weight training is supplementing it, eat for performance.
You need that nutrition.
If you eat for performance, you'll get both. You'll get some of both. You'll get a lot of performance, some aesthetics. If you just eat for aesthetics, you'll lose both.
Next question is from Salinas174. Should an individual who wants to lead other people first develop themselves as a leader or learn to be a team player first?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Yeah. You know what's funny? The older I get, the more I realize that the best leaders know when to follow. I think being a team player is being a leader. People who lead, who don't feel like they're a part of the team, that's the kind of boss that is a bit tyrannical, a little bit ego, power hungry. To
be a great leader, you have to be humble. You have to be selfless. You have to put others first. You have to know how to play well in team. You're not a good leader, in my opinion, unless you can do that. So I think it's necessary to first be a good team player before you can then lead others on a team. If you don't at first master that, if you can't be a part of a team of 5 or 10 or 20 people and know how to humble yourself, how to assist others, how to put others before you for the overall betterment of the team and for all of us to win, if you can't accomplish that, you most certainly can't accomplish leading all those people, because you then have to teach all of those people to do that.
You're going to miss a lot of crucial signs and signals if you don't go through the process yourself. I think that there'll be moments where you could say something that could totally change the direction and the momentum of the staff or the team or whoever it is. And you would have more insight in that if you went through what they've experienced. So otherwise, it's just like, I feel like you kind of go back to your old go-tos of like how to rally everybody or just, get everybody in line.
When I think back, when I try and unpack, and I've had questions like this asked to me before when I've done interviews and where like my leadership skills came from. And I think a lot of it definitely derived from all the sports that I played and not being like the best player on the team, having to be a role player and being okay with that. And I definitely accepted that role and enjoyed it. I was okay. I didn't need to be the man. I've been on teams where I was the best player, but not most of the time. Most of the time I was not. And most of the time I was a role player and totally enjoyed just being a part of that and seeing, being a piece of the machine and watching it be executed and being okay with being the person who was assisting others to make them play great. And I think I enjoyed that so much. Like when I watched the game of basketball, and I watch a play unfold, man, my favorite part is a great play and a great pass and assist. Like I enjoy that more than some, flashy move that one guy made and then dunks the basketball. Like that doesn't appeal to me. That's neat to see because you see this expression of athleticism in one person, but the art of the game and team comes from watching all of the players move together and execute a play. And I love an assist more than I love anything else like that. And also a question like this that comes to mind, great books that come to mind. So two of my favorite books, both are John C. Maxwell's. The first one, and I give this to all people that are interested in leadership, and that is Developing the Leader Within. So that's a great first one to read. And then the follow-up to that is Developing the Leaders Around You. So those two books speak to this exact question.
Yeah, this is something that inadvertently has been of interest of mine just because I like looking, learning about politics and world leaders throughout all of history. And the most effective leaders of all of history were never the ones who desired leadership. They were never the ones who stood out and said, "I'm the leader, follow me." They were the ones that were placed there by the people that respected them. They were the ones that were, George Washington, who led as a general and won the Revolution. When we won, his men wanted him to crown himself king of America. And George Washington said, no, I don't want it. That's not what we fought for. We fought not against that. And that's what makes George Washington, that's what made him so respected among his men and the people around him, was that he didn't desire that. He was placed there. He was placed there. Yeah. And that's really what it's all about. We watch, when you see on movies, you see like these tyrannical leaders where they've got, the way they maintain their power is through fear, intimidation, manipulation, and that works great in movies. Doesn't last very long in real life, and it's actually bullshit. The truth is, forever, for all of history, if you were a man or woman and you were leading and you were tyrannical and a piece of shit, all those people are conspiring to kill you. And at some point, you will be overthrown because they didn't respect you. The leader that's placed there by the people underneath them, the one who's respected, the one who does not seek out and search for power, boy, that's an effective damn leader. That's the one that inspires the people under them. So the only way to do that, in my opinion, is to be a team player first. That's number one. That's Adam said humble. I can't stress that enough. That's the most important attribute of an effective leader. Now, you can become a leader by, standing on a mountain, declaring yourself the leader, maybe being the most powerful, the loudest one, saying that you're the greatest, whatever. That might work for a second, but it doesn't work for very long because, again, there's a lot of people under you. And what you don't want is you don't want a team that fears you but doesn't respect you, who doesn't love you, and who doesn't think that you have their best interests in mind. So it's interesting because the people who tend to ask these questions, how do I become a leader? And how do I... It's like, well, by not asking that question oftentimes, seeking it out and wanting that kind of power, oftentimes is a sign that you're probably not the... And I remember this. I would have people on my team that I would give them these opportunities and put them in charge of a weekend or whatever, and I'd see that they were the fucking boss that was blah, 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 do this, do that, and blah, and manipulative, and I'd be like, well, that person's not going to be very effective long term. They're not going to develop the kind of... They don't have the skills or the understanding to... what is it? It's like it's like there's the leader that sits on the mountain and yells at everybody to charge, and then it's the one that runs forward, and then everybody just follows.
Well,
That's the big difference.
I got my first leadership role not because I was trying to get it at all. I remember when I got promoted, and part of what got me promoted was as soon as I got on the team, the fitness team, and there's a team of trainers, there's 15 plus. I was, like I've talked about before, I was definitely the youngest, the least educated, but I was probably one of the best team players. I was always helping all the other trainers. If I learned something new, I was passing that on to all my peers. It was something that I thought was very odd that nobody else did that. Everybody else was very about themselves, and I wasn't like that. If I learned something new that helped me with my business, that made me a better trainer, that made me more successful, I looked at my staff, the trainers that were a part of the same team as I was, as part of our team. And like I did in sports, I passed them the ball. I would share that information with them. And I did that on off hours all the time.
And you earned their respect.
Right. Then I ended up earning all of their respect, which is what made the district manager recognize that I'd see that, and then put me in a leadership role to where I then became all of their bosses, even though I was the youngest one. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm doing all this because I want to become the boss or become the leader. It was just something naturally that I did. I've been a part of teams for a very long time, and that's just a good team. A good team player is always helping his teammates and trying to make all of his teammates better, isn't just solely focused on himself.
And that integrity, man, is so important. Just being honest, like that's such a big one. I really can't stand people in leadership positions that think that they have to lie or manipulate the people under them, because that's in my opinion, that's a terrible leader, and it's not gonna and they're not gonna last. And what'll end up happening is the people under them at some point, if they go off and do something else or surpass them, that respect is gone. It was like false respect. Oh, you're my boss right now, and they think they get
in the meantime.
And they think they're doing a good job by manipulating them. Oh, I get them to feel this way because I say this or whatever. It's like, be totally honest. You'd be surprised how much people respect that kind of integrity.
You have to care about your people. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so you have to lead that way. And you have to do that before you even become the leader. Because at one point, if you are leading those people, if you didn't show that you cared for those people, no one's going to follow you. Yeah. You're simply going to be walking alone.
I had a really interesting experience a few days ago. I came in here, my kids were out of school, and we popped in, and I totally forgot that we were filming. We were filming for a program, and so there were like exercises and stuff, and so first time I ever got to see Justin in his element, doing his thing, because what a lot of people may not know, and one thing I appreciate and respect so much about Justin is he's one of the most quiet, confident leaders I've ever met in my entire life. Never heard him try to proclaim himself as the guy in charge of anything. His confidence and calmness when he does it, it makes you want to be a part of it. So I'm sitting there with my kids and I'm watching him orchestrate this whole thing. And it was fucking really cool to see that, to see Justin doing his thing. And the thing I respect most about everybody in this room is, depends on the situation or the element, is everybody rises to that, and the people underneath just follow. But it's a very genuine genuine team, and it's pretty cool to be a part of. It really is.
I know. I really want to get you into sports ball, dude. I'm telling you, man. We learned so many lessons through that experience, right. And I mean, I could relate any analogy in terms of leadership and team building and business building and all that thing to my experience through sports. And you do have to rise when people are counting on you. And that's just something that you have to take upon yourself to do it and care about everybody else succeeding. And that's a crucial thing that you have to, every now and then you got to pop up, and you got to take the team with you, and then you got to know when to sit back and everything is working. And so don't screw it up. Like just feed into it and help people where you can.
Next question is from Jack J. Buffery Training.
That's nice.
If one of the other guys put you in complete charge of their programming for 12 weeks, how would that look? You get to pick their goals.
We're going to train.
Did you pick this one, Sal?
I did. You know why I like this question? Because this is the truth. This is the truth. I don't give a fuck who you are. And yes, you know your body better than anyone. But if you get a good trainer, like a really good trainer who knows you really, really well, in many ways, you'll probably get trained better by someone else than you will yourself in some ways, in many ways, I would say. And I'm definitely not immune to that. I think if Justin or Adam trained me, I think they would train me way better than I would train myself. I know my body very well. I've been working out for a long time. I know what I need to do. But I have my favorite things, and I have things that I don't enjoy. And I'll include nutrition in there as well if we threw that all in there. And I think there would be things that Justin would have me do. I know for sure I wouldn't do. There'd be things that you make me do.
I know right away what I would make you both do. So, for this person who asked this very clever question, I think this is cool. I would definitely have Sal run, and I'll use our program since it's probably easy for people. I'm not going to sit here and write out fucking Sal's 12-week program. That would take forever. But something along the lines of MAPS performance with a heavy focus on mobility. That would be what I would force Sal into. And I would make him only stay in the, 5 rep range for his 3 weeks, and then I would force him out of that for a long period of time.
I'm not going to hire you.
Already. And he would be doing a lot of mobility work. I would definitely be working on that with him. Justin, I would probably train him very similar to like our MAP split program, which is very bodybuilder-esque because I know that he trains mostly away from that. And I think his body would definitely benefit the most from that. Nutritionally, I think the guys both are pretty dialed for what their goals are. Obviously, if I made Justin go on a bodybuilder thing, I'd put him on just like he did when he did his transformation.
Got to be all shredded,
right? If we're going to be like, but nutritionally, I don't think there's not much that I would actually adjust for either one of the guys. Nutritionally, I think
you probably lower my cheese amount, dude. Be honest.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe I would.
You'd kill me on that.
Maybe I would a little bit. So
put him on like a not like a straight up pre-contest cut, but like a bodybuilder type aesthetic type of cut. I think would be different than macro counting. That's what Justin would do.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would pull my eyes out.
That's how I think that's how I would train both you guys. That's
Adam. I don't think I'd do anything with his training. He's really good at doing shit that he's not good at. But with nutrition, one thing that I would do with Adam is I would have him. I would go over all of his food intolerances, and I would go over all the foods that tend to bother his gut that he ignores sometimes. Not always. Actually, you're really good at it now. But I would take out, when you have your artificial sweeteners, gluten, and certain things, and I would make you go real strict with some gut health testing. Not because I necessarily think he needs it, but I know that that's the one area that he isn't super interested in. Justin lately has been much more interested in that kind of stuff, and I agree with Adam. I'd put him on a bodybuilder split. It'd be fun to see him fucking hate the whole thing the whole time. It'd be a lot of fun.
Jump on stage in a little mankini.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go that far, dude. I might make you do something.
He's got such a solid base. I think I could turn him into a monster, dude. I mean, if I put him on, if he actually cared enough,
bro, he's already gets so much attention from the female fans that if he did that, dude, it would be stupid.
I just think I could sculpt the fuck out of him, dude. I mean, he's not like you and I. Just
he's trying to close you, bro.
You and I had nothing to work with. I feel like you and I had to build up for everything. But Justin, I feel like has got such a better base that I would have turned him into a monster if I were to bodybuild him.
Totally.
I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to do a lot of convincing in that direction. I don't know about that. Yeah, I think like Sal for me would be a really fun experiment. I think like just getting him to move.
I'd frustrate the shit out of you.
Oh my god, I would love it.
Lateral jumps. Like,
I would just see his face every time we're doing an exercise that was like super functional, and you'd just be like so pissed off. It'd be great. I would definitely have him in like a performance type of based program where I could definitely work more on lateral movement, twisting, rotational movements, like things like that gets him out of his set in stone deadlifting like frame. Yeah. So you've mastered that. Now let's do other things.
Yeah.
And then, with Adam, like you said, he experiments a lot with different, it wouldn't be hard to convince Adam to do things. I think what would be fun would be, though, to take him more back to his athletic roots and take him into the peak performance stuff.
I actually would love that.
Which we kind of were flirting with at one point, but to
like
get him,
power,
and even Olympic lifts and things that
I would love
super challenging. But now that he's done all the work mobility wise to fortify his joints, I think that would be a great progression. and to see him then get back, even though, he had a bad experience getting back into basketball, I think that if we took enough time, we could really get everything just right, so all the mechanics were in place and he could play again at a high level. So that would be like a challenge for me. I would love to train in that direction. As far as nutrition for you guys got it. I mean, I'm not I think for me, if anything, it would be to bolster up your guys' calories quite a bit. So I'm not sitting here all alone, just eating all the food, So we stopped talking about it for a while. Oh man, it's so much better this side of life, Yeah. Let's have an ice cream.
It would be hard to train each other, I think, because you probably give each other a little pushback, and it would be a little argument, and then we'd be like,
who do you think would be the hardest, and who would be the easiest? I think I'd be the easiest to train. I'm so open to what you just.
You probably would be.
Yeah, what you guys both have said, I'm fucking bring it. I would love to do that. I love that idea. Where I think you would fight me tooth and nail, making you do the fucking getting you on the ground and being because I know what it took for my ankle and my hip mobility, the amount of effort and work that I put into that, man, I can't express. And I get asked this a lot, what did you do? And it's just what it is I fucking did a lot of it
all the time.
All the time. Yeah. All the time I thought about it. I had to get competitive with myself in order to move the needle as far as I did from moving as probably the stiffest one of all of us when we first got together to now being one of the more mobile ones of us. I had to be competitive about it. I had to be this is my goal. I'm going to be this, and I had to be thinking about it all day long, just like I would in any sport or anything else I did. So that I know would probably drive you crazy if I was constantly, no, we can't deadlift today, Sal. We're gonna do combat stretch for 30 minutes. We're gonna do 90-90s for 20 minutes. No, we're not gonna squat today.
I probably wouldn't let them deadlift for 3 months.
I wouldn't either. Because I didn't do a lot of that stuff during that time. I really did. I'm right now enjoying.
No, you have to be singularly focused on your goal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. It would be funny. I think it'd be funny and fun, but too bad we're not going to do it.
Too bad it's not going to happen.
Sorry about that. Anyway, if you go to mindpumpfree.com, you can download our guides. They're all absolutely free. You can also find all of us on Instagram. You can find me at mindpumpsal, Justin at mindpumpjustin, and Adam at mindpumpadam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.